everyone, it's me again, Brittany, and I'm here today with the end of the year book tag. It feels like forever since I've actually sat down to film a tag video, which is very funny because I actually love filming tag videos, I just never get around to them. So I definitely wanted to get around though to the end of the year book tag. This was actually created by Ariel Bissett, and a ton of people have actually been doing this tag, so I'm sure you've seen it going around BookTube, and I just thought it would be fun to sit down and kind of go over what this year was like and what I need to finish before the end of the year is over, because there is quite a bit. There's quite a bit. So let's kind of jump in. The first question is, are there any books you started this year that you still need to finish? And I have started a few books that I want to get done. First and foremost, I started Arch Enemies last month or a couple months ago, and I definitely want to get this done actually by the end of this month, so that should be happening soon, and hopefully it'll happen as soon as possible because Supernova already came out and I already own it and I want to read it. Arch Enemies, I feel like I've talked about a ton, so you guys probably already know what this is about, plus I feel like it's relatively popular, but just letting you know, if you like superheroes, definitely check this one out if you don't already know what it's about. I always try to link all the books that I talk about down below, so just follow those links if you want to read a summary or buy it. It's up to you. Now this one, I'm honestly not sure if I'm going to be able to finish by the end of the year, but one can always hope. And that's gonna be Clash of Kings by George R.R. Martin. This is the second book in the Song of Ice and Fire series. I actually had been planning on reading this entire series, or to what's been finished this year, and I didn't get to it. I really did start annotating Clash of Kings as I was listening to the audiobook, and that's kind of been the one thing that's been holding me back because I was enjoying that experience, and it does take quite a bit more brain power to do that, mostly because I can't just be doing chores around the house. I have to be able to stop and be able to write down notes in my phone and then be able to go back to the book later on and annotate it. But I do think that it helps me absorb the story a little better, so I'm probably gonna still keep doing that. So yeah, it looks like I left off on page 170. Maybe we'll finish this one. By the way, a ton of you guys have been asking me what edition this is. This is, I believe, a discontinued edition. I'm really not sure. I actually can't find Throne of Glass in this edition anymore, but it is from Book Depository. I will be linking this specific edition down below, and you guys can find the other ones from there. If you do, they're kind of pricey, but they're just so pretty. The last book that I actually didn't start this year, but last year and still haven't read is The Savior's Champion by Jenna Morrissey. This is actually on my books that I want to read in 2019 video. By the way, look out for something related to that coming probably in December. But I still haven't picked it up this year. And I really feel like I left off, so I was on page 100 exactly when I stopped reading it last year, and I really feel like I left off right before it really started rolling, and I feel like I left off just on the part where it's finally gonna start amping up and being a little bit more dramatic and scandalous and probably way faster of a read. So I definitely want to pick this up. I've heard really good things about this. This was actually created by an author tuber, so it is an indie published book, and I do really want to support it and finish it. I've heard very good things about it, and I've heard it's quite sexy, quite steamy, and I'm always looking for something like that. This one, I really don't know how to describe this to you other than the fact that it's kind of a tournament to get the Savior's hand in marriage, and the Savior is their empress, their be-all end-all ruler, and it's just about a guy competing in that tournament. It's very gladiatory. It's fun. Now, when I first read that question, I actually went onto Goodreads and looked at my currently reading area that I just haven't finished. And another book that was on there that I started this year was The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. I did start it, and I got to almost the end, I believe, for the Hunger Games readathon that Rhiannon had been hosting earlier in the year, but I just put it down and never picked it back up. And I honestly did plan on finishing it, but at this point in the year, I just have so many other books that I have to read that I probably won't be getting to that one, so this is more of like an honorable mention. I started that one, but I'm not gonna finish it. Probably. The next question is, do you have an autumnal book that you use to transition into the end of the year? And I do not. I actually, when I do reread, it's very sporadically. It's more of like I'm more in love with the series than anything else, and it doesn't have anything to do with a certain time of year or anything like that. So I don't have a specific book that I reread or take out or anything like that for the seasons, specifically autumn, but I do like to read a lot more fantasy during the winter winter. This year it's kind of been a little bit weirder because I actually read a ton of fantasy during summer and I was reading a lot more during the summer. But normally that's how winter is for me, but right now I'm just, I'm in a very erratic reading mood, so we'll see how that goes. And I normally like really heavy fantasies during the winter, but I'm not so much in the mood for that right now. It's a strange fall winter for me, so maybe I'll be reading more heavy fantasies. I mean, obviously Clash of Kings is on my list of possible reads, so that definitely counts for that. But we'll end up seeing, I guess. The third question is there a new release that you are still waiting for? And yes, Queen of Nothing. It's about to come out. It's like this week that it comes out, so I'm super hyped. Queen of Nothing is the finale to the Cruel Prince trilogy, and I have really loved the Cruel Prince trilogy. Well, I really loved Cruel Prince, and then Wicked King was wild. I feel like I was really bored for most of it, and then the end just snatched me right back in. And I'm a little nervous about Queen of Nothing, not gonna lie. It's supposed to be smaller than Wicked King is. I don't know how we're supposed to wrap everything up in a smaller book, but, you know, I have faith in Holly Black. I'm excited, I'm nervous. I really want to see Jude and Cardon be something, but yeah, Cruel Prince is huge on BookTube, in case you wanted to know anything about it. It's basically about Jude, who is a human in the Fae world, and the Fae don't necessarily like humans, and her twin sister were brought there by their stepfather, who is a Fae, and they have kind of had to live their entire lives there and been bullied and definitely had to learn their way around the crazy land that is fairy, because there are rules that are different than the human world, there are things that must be done that are different than the human world, and to top it off, being a human there, not gonna be fun. So it's really her journey and her relationship. I don't want to call it a relationship, it's really not a relationship, it's more of like how they speak to each other, of her and Cardon, who Cardon is a prince of Fae, and he just really wants to make her life a living hell. Yeah, but I mean, there's so much more that happens. Next up is, what are 3 books that you want to read by the end of the year? Well, first and foremost, I definitely want to read Dark Dawn. I still haven't picked it up this month. It's on my TBR for the month. I'm aware. I will try. I want to read this so badly, but I really feel like I'm hesitating because once this is over, Nevernight's over, and I'm not ready for that yet. So I'm hoping to read this by the end of the year though. I've talked so many times about what Nevernight is about. I'm not going to mention it again. Again, links are down below. Next though, I definitely want to get to Defy Me by Tahada Mafi. This one is definitely one that I was more excited about before I started hearing all the reviews over it. I've not heard the best things about this one, and from very trusted reviewers, so it definitely put me off wanting to read it right away. I was so excited, but now I just feel like it's gonna be disappointing, and I'm still not disappointed in the Shatter Me series, especially the reboot, so I have been putting this one off as well, but it's also in my most anticipated reads of 2019. And the last book that's also on that video of most anticipated reads, which I'm regretting having put it on in the start, is Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. I'm not regretting it because I think this will be a bad book. I actually think I'm going to adore this. I don't know much about it. I know that there is an LGBTQ plus pairing. I know that there are dragons, and I don't know anything else. I just know that it's a heavy, heavy fantasy book, and she's beautiful and detailed, and everyone loves it. I just regret it because of the size. I mean, do you guys really have any faith in me finishing this and Clash of Kings in 1 year? They're each like 1,000 pages. I don't, probably not. So yeah, but it's on that list, so I definitely do want to try and get to it by the end of the year. I just know that I don't want to rush it either. So if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, and I'll just read it next year, but I still am kind of hoping. I'm holding on to hope that I'll be able to finish this for the end of the year. Next up is there a book that you think could still shock you and become your favorite book of the year? I definitely think so. Looking back on my reading year in general, I feel like there wasn't any books that really stood out to me being like, hey, these are my all-time new well, that's a lie. I just feel like none of them have reached the level that I normally relate to an all-time favorite. Even though I have really adored books this year, and there are definitely books that I would call my favorites, I don't know. I'm comparing it to like how I feel about the Throne of Glass series, and I haven't felt like that about a series in a little while, so that's kind of disappointing. I might never feel like that about a series again, but we keep reading and hoping. But I really feel like Queen of Nothing and Dark Dawn both have that potential, and I can't wait to figure it out and see if those are my new favorites of the year. Because so far, I mean, I don't know, I'd have to look at what I've read. But I know that recently I read The Archived and The Unbound, and I loved those. So, yeah. And the final question is, have you already started making reading plans for 2020? And yes, I have. I am trying to put together a few compilations of lists. I definitely want to make another anticipated reads for the year. I want to make an anticipated releases of the year. And I definitely want to set goals for myself next year. That was something that I was hoping to do this year, but I did kind of disappear in January and for I think most of February as well, and didn't end up doing any of the start of the year videos that I really wanted to do. And this year I'm hoping to actually get to those and tell you all the goals that I have for my reading plans and maybe even life goals, who knows, for the upcoming year. I am shocked that 2020 is here. That is a brand new decade. That's insane. And it's really funny because everyone keeps calling it the 20s and I keep thinking of 1920s, and it's like, no, we really are in the 20s of the 21st century. So yeah. That's fine. I'm not having any kind of crisis or anything. But yeah, those are actually all of the questions for the end of the year book tag. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this, and let me know if you guys are setting any goals for yourself for next year, especially if it comes to reading. I would absolutely love to know. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this tag video today, guys. Let me know if you actually like seeing tag videos, because I really haven't done one of these in a million years, and I'd love to hear the feedback. But that will be it for today. So I will see you in my next one. Goodbye!
What beautiful